blessed, bro.
I'm blessed.
Y'all finally decided to get
me in here, man. Welcome, man. Welcome to the Healerz Circle.
Yeah.
I know you usually behind the scenes, but now you in front of the camera.
I'm the guy behind the camera, but you know, I had to pop up. Sometimes you gotta pop out and shop.
Sometimes you do, man. I'm glad you came out here and, you know, wanted to tap in with some healing questions. And
I'm glad y'all had me, man. Like, bro.
Yeah, man. So I know you're working on the album about healing.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. We've been talking about behind the scenes and stuff like that. So I'm just gonna start you off with some healing questionnaires.
Why am I nervous, yo?
What's that? All right, let's do this. Come on, breathe. Go. 1, 2, 3.
That's it.
All right, let's get it. What first led you to your healing path? And was there a defining moment when you knew this was your calling?
Yeah, so I would say in terms of, like, I guess, like, my first remnants of trying to get into just, like, the healing world, I would say it was whenever I started understanding what anxiety was. Because whenever I was, like, younger, I was just, like, more free-spirited, and I didn't really think about what others thought about me. But, like, obviously whenever, I think it's, like, really, like, the second, third year of college, when I started really experiencing, like, heavy social anxiety. Yeah, and so I was just, like, it was throwing me for a loop because, like, I never experienced anything like that, and I've always been the type of person that, like, when a teacher's like, yo, does anybody know the answer to this? I would raise my hands up, you know, talk, but, like, there was a certain point where I was like, damn, what if I get the wrong answer? What if I say something and everybody's like, this man's stupid? Like, you know, those kind of thoughts just, like, got in my head, and so I think that's when, like, after feeling those thoughts, I was like, I gotta figure out, like, why these things scare me. And, like, what's going on with my inner that I'm not, like, I'm blocking myself from being my fullest self.
Right.
So
it's almost crippling.
Yeah, no, it's very crippling. And it's, like, it's scary because it's, like, you know who you were before you felt it. And so you're like, damn, like, what's happening? Like, why am I not able to tap back into that? Like, why am I so hyper aware of, like, how, that I'm like, it's literally stopping me from being myself. So I think those were, like, the first kind of, like, groundwork of me starting to be like, all right, I got to figure out why I care so much about that. And, like, over time, it just became, like, something, like, I dropped this project called Shadow Work. And over time, it just became something where it was like, the more and more that I grew older, the more and more, like, I remember Childish Gambino said something where he was like, I think it was like in 2005, where he was like, I used to care what people thought, but now I care more. And I was like, damn, that's so real. Because it's like, it's such a, like, you think there's going to be a certain point where it's like completely removed, but it's like the older that you get is like, for me anyways, like Ron was saying, like, I speak for myself, it's like I cared more. And I was like, damn, bro, like, I have to address this need and this desire for validation. So yeah, I think that's what's really started my healing journey, trying to figure out, like, why I care so much and why social anxiety was, like, such a crippling thing for me.
Especially when you're, like, a social person.
Right.
Yeah, so it was, like, the opposite of what you truly want to be, but it's, like, something that's blocking you from getting to that point.
Right. Yeah, is there, like, a second part of your question?
Was there a defining moment when you knew this was your calling?
Yeah. So I actually had a friend in college. His name is Charlie the Healer, like his artist name. And we had a lot of conversations about just, like, healing and, like, how we could infuse, because a lot of music is, like, meant to be destructive. And so how we could infuse, like, the idea of healing into music in the same way that y'all do. And how we could infuse that. And so I remember working with him, me and him, so his name was Charlie the Healer, my name is Nic Soul. So we were going to come up with a project called Soul Healer.
Yeah.
And I remember we were having those conversations, and I think that the fact, even though the project never came out, those sessions of us working on the project, I think that was a defining moment, because it was like, I realized now in hindsight that Soul Healer wasn't for the public to, like, take. It was for me and him.
Exactly.
Like, it was for us to, like, figure out essentially what was the foundation of our artistry and, like, moving forward, how we wanted to use that to heal others.
Yeah.
So that was, like, those Soul Healer sessions, like, bro, I, like, cried in those sessions.
Man.
Like, those are some of the most powerful like
Breakthroughs.
recording sessions I've ever had, bro, because it was just like me trying to figure out, like, previous before that, it was like me just trying to figure out how to make like a good song, or like how to put something dope together. But those sessions were like me trying to articulate who I was, and like in like the best way, like as clear as possible, versus being like lyrical miracle. You know?
Exactly.
So yeah, like the Soul Healer sessions, bro, for sure.
Great other sessions. I feel like everybody who's aware and conscious that does music has those conversations with somebody like, why don't we, like, music's already destructive, why don't we tackle it from a different, which is a revolution in itself, and it's like rebellious in itself, because you could go along with the flow. It's so easy to just listen to gangster rap and trap music. It's like,
especially from the perspective of like our current generation, where it's like those kind of things like are the things that go, and like as an artist, you want your art to be like appreciated by a lot of people. And so it's easy to like be like, okay, if I want a lot of people to appreciate me, let me do what everybody else is doing, so I could get that like appreciation. But then you get lost in the idea of like, okay, people are appreciating my art, but is that even me for real? Like,
they appreciate.
Yeah, I mean, like they're appreciating what people are already doing, and I'm just adding, I guess, my voice to it. But am I really?
Yeah, they appreciate you truly, who you are.
Yeah, and so I think
you don't even appreciate you.
Man, and I never wanted to do. I remember Black said in Free Black, like in the project, he was like, he never wants to get caught up in like performing, like he wants to be. So it's like I don't want to get caught up in like, oh, now I got to perform this song that I got hot off of that isn't even who I am.
That's so snatching.
That's a trap, bro. Like you're literally going on tour performing to millions of people, and it's not even authentic.
I think that's what another form of selling your soul is. It's like literally you selling something that's not even you. So it's not just
that's bro, terrifying. Like I don't want to.
Nobody wants to be in that predicament. That's why I started getting conscious and being aware, like years ago, about what I want to say in my music when I pen down something. Like, do I actually want to say this? Because I'm gonna have to perform this.
Right. And then you have to stand by it too.
You have to stand by it. I gotta stand on it, because this is supposed to be me.
You
know, and that's why I think a lot of people, like rappers, mostly don't have a lot of accountability. Like Future or
bro, I be just thinking like, take away the music, bro. Like just the lyrics. Like if you take, because a lot of times the music lets you like kind of forget or like just be in the vibe. But I be thinking like, damn, if I take away the music, are these lyrics like me? Like, can I say this without? Can I say this without the beat?
Acapella trap music.
Man.
If it hits the same.
Like, if it don't hit the same with just the lyrics, bro, for me, that's not like authentic.
Well, Pac said it. He was like, listen to what the rappers are saying. So tapping into that, but the next question is like, in your view, what role does community play in the healing journey?
I would say community plays like a really big role. Because a lot of times isolation is good to like redefine who you are. But if you get too isolated, you might lose for me, I lose like the bigger idea of like who I am provides to like the rest of the world. And so community, like, bro, like before I started doing like New Renaissance and stuff, like I was making music by myself, and it was always like a fun experience. But whenever I started like in college making music with the rest of my friends, that became like the first iteration of New Renaissance, it helped me realize how much like they can grow the ideas that I have. Because it's like, I'll just think about it with my perspective, but the different perspectives added on. It's like sometimes, like, you know, you don't need them, but other times it's like it grows it. And it helps it become something even like crazier than what originally was. So I feel like community is like, is really important. Just for like foundational purposes. Pun intended. But yeah, because it's just like, bro, like, I think about the Renaissance certified community that I'm like actively building, bro, and like what I would be doing if I like didn't have that. And I don't, you know what I mean? Like that's a scary thought for me, because it's like it's provided so much like joy and like just the ability to like keep going, bro. Just like I have to fight for this. Like I don't have kids. I don't have like things that like other people have. So it's like that's the thing that I like wake up and I'm like, oh, I want to continue building on this.
Yeah, because you see the impact.
Yeah.
And then every time you do another one, you see the impact from the last one, and it's like a trickle effect.
Yeah, and it carries over, and then I see people are still like, the thing that's dope to me is people are still excited about it.
Yeah.
Like, people are still like engaging with it. So
I mean, that means they're feeling like the service is being met.
Yeah. Yeah, and I like, hey, shout out to everybody who comes to the shows and engages with our stuff, because like I was saying, bro, community is like, it means a lot to me. It helps me continue.
Yeah, man, congrats on being on the talk show and all that stuff.
Yeah, man.
That's a good look, man.
That was dope. That was really dope. Shout out to Bless Your Heart.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Love that. That's so for the next question, my last question for you will be, what does healing look like for your personally right now? What does healing look like for you personally right now? And how has it changed over time?
I would say sobriety. Like right now is like, it's really important for me. Like, again, like Ron said, I can't speak for others, but like, it's really important for me to have a clear mind, and remember like my goals are like my goals. And so I don't want to get caught up in like what everybody else is doing and what they got going. I want to remember, like, it's really easy for me to get distracted. I'm like ADD, bro. Like, I don't know if I'm not clinically diagnosed, but like I know that like it's really easy for me to get distracted. So, like, I'll be talking and then I'll see a girl with some yams and I'll be like, oh shit. So I say that to say it's very easy for me to get distracted. So like, this generation, man. So I say that to say like sobriety helps me like remember focus. Like remember, okay, this is what I'm doing today. This is what I need to get done. I would say another thing in terms of healing is like, it's just being real with myself, bro. It's like a lot of the times I ask myself, am I doing this thing? It's kind of like, there's a song by J. Cole called The Climb Back where he was like, are you doing this to facilitate growth? Or there's like a line in there where he's like, are you doing this to facilitate growth? Or are you doing this to like, it's basically like an ego question. And I was like, damn. So like, I asked myself that, is this something that's going to help me grow? Or am I just doing this to feed my own ego? And like, since I've done my shadow work and I'm actively still doing it, it's easier to answer those questions, honestly. Because there was a point in time where I would think I was being authentic to myself. Yeah. When I was really just feeding my ego even more. The illusion. Yeah. And like, that's a very like gray area. Like, it's hard to like, sometimes it's hard to discern, but
but once you do more shadow work, you realize what is what,
bro. And shadow work is like art, bro.
it's more like shadow boxing.
Yeah, like, bro, I don't
fight yourself the whole time.
Honestly, like, I would need some more healing before I could really talk about my shadow work. Bro.
No,
it's just like it's dark, bro. Like, I've been through a lot. And so, like, I say that to say, like, yeah, right now is, like, just to summarize, it's, like, sobriety and just, like, being real with myself and being, like, asking myself those questions, like, am I doing this to facilitate growth or is this for ego? And sometimes it is, bro. Yeah. Like, sometimes it is for ego, and I, like, have to take a step back and be, like, why do I feel like I need to do that? You know what I mean?
Sometimes
like,
ego could be healthy, you know? Yeah, and sometimes it can be, like, your worst enemy. So. Yeah,
true. It's, like, that's the slippery slope of ego, because it's like sometimes you need to feel yourself to like build yourself back up.
Affirmations, you know.
Right. Because like that's again the slippery slope is like sometimes you might feel bad about feeling yourself, but if everybody's shitting on you, that's a survival tactic.
Yeah.
It's like just feeling yourself is like, no, I gotta be on some Kanye shit right
now. Yeah, I gotta show myself.
Yeah.
Society may think of my ideas, vision, or how I move. So yeah, man. Well, appreciate you, man. Appreciate your time and your vulnerability, man. What's up?
Always.
Right.
Hey.
Nicólas Soul.
What's up? Lord Goldie.
Being back. You came a long way from Costa Canada.
Man.
You know what I'm saying?
Man, for real.
That motherfucker eat an edible. Too damn hard to do anything.
You never gonna let me let that down. Never gonna let me let that down. But it's good. I'm good.
What is they doing?
Hey, man. I'm glad that I moved from that, because I was bullshitting. I was for sure bullshitting. I was in there like, what y'all need? was like, shit.
But welcome, though. You know what I'm
Thank
saying?
y'all for having me, man.
Man, anytime,
Yeah.
man. I'm proud of your growth, bro.
Thank you. You as well. Right back at
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a continual thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, let's get deep. What ancestral wisdom or lineage guides your healing practice, and how do you stay connected to it?
Ooh, this is a great question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was thinking about this when y'all asked Ron, and I was like, dang, I really don't know how to answer this because, like, so I'm originally from Homa Bay, Kenya, which is like a port town in Kenya. And so I say that to say, like, a lot of my, like, ancestors and stuff and people that I, like, are in my lineage, like, I was able to see, like, directly, like, I was able to see, like, my grandparents and stuff. And, like, I have a tie-in. Like, a lot of the times whenever I think about, like, Africans and then African Americans, like, they're, like, the tie-in between Africans and African Americans is, like, African Americans originally, like, over time, like, came from Africa, but then over time, like, grew up in, like, America. But, like, my, like, tie-in with, like, my ancestors is, like, very direct. And so I think about that from the perspective of, like, I was able to talk to, whenever I went back home in 2019, I was able to talk directly to my grandfather. And, like, he was able to, like, tell me stories and me kind of be like, oh, shit, like, this is, like, really where I come from. And, like, and so I don't know, bro. Like, I'm also, like, I'm still working through understanding how to speak with my, like, the people in my heritage and, like, my ancestors and people in my lineage. So I'm not gonna, like, sit here and be like I just actively have those conversations and, like, I'm privy and I'm aware, but I'm working towards it because after those conversations back at home, it made me realize, like, it opened up the scope of making me realize, like, I am not just, like, I identify a lot with my American side because I'm here and I speak English and, like, that's how I communicate and exist in the world. But it made me realize, like, no, like, you're still Kenyan though, bro. Yeah. That's, like, a foundation of, like, who you are. Yeah. So, like I said, I really don't know how to answer that from the perspective of, like, oh yeah, I talk to my ancestors all the time and, like, I have those, like, spiritual moments. But I will say I do feel certain, like, inclinations of, like, don't do that. Mm-hmm. Or don't do this. And, like, I do feel like sometimes that is, like, my spirit communicating with something before me. Right. And being like, that's not for you, bro. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, like, I think, speaking as an African American, a lot of us have a resentment towards, well, let me talk like Ron. You know what I'm saying? Not to say I do, but I feel like us not really knowing who we are. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? As African Americans, unless we take like an ancestry or do something like that, you definitely have an advantage because you know who you are and where you come from. Right. You know what I'm saying? So it's easier. I'd say it's easy. Yeah. It's easier for you to say, oh, well, I'm Kenyan and these are our practices. Right. You know what I'm saying? This is my culture. And you know what I'm saying? It's me, I'd be like, oh, well, shit, I got Nigerian right here. I got this right here. I got that. Look, who the hell am I? You know what I'm saying? So, you know, but at the end of the day, you know, still American. Yeah. You know what I mean? I
think that's a part of my, like, roles, like, being here is, like, having, like, a conversation like this where it's, like, figuring out how to, like, bridge, like, African Americans and Africans. Because I have felt that. Like, and I have had conversations where my African American friends, they're like, yeah, like, honestly, I feel like Africans don't mess with us because they look at us a certain way. And then I have to have that conversation of, like, you got to think from the perspective of, like, being back home in Kenya, I only see what the white man wants me to see of Black people. Here.
And vice versa.
Right. Yeah. So it's like, we have to then have these conversations personally to break through that and be like, no, this is actually how we are. And then this is actually how we are back at home. Mm-hmm. And yeah, like, media plays a big role into just, like, your idea of people and their culture. And so, yeah, hopefully something like this will, you know, just kind of bridge those gaps and heals those wounds, because I identify heavily with the culture created, like, the African American culture created here. Like, hip hop is an African American culture. Right. And, like, I identify with that heavily. And, like there's things that like my American friends tell me that they identify with that is like African culture. So like I think just having these conversations is very important, bro, because it like again bridges the gap and helps heal those wounds of like, dang, we wasn't even really mad at each other or like angry at each other. It was just we had an idea based on what somebody else had told us about each other.
Yeah, stripped us of our culture, and now we thinking like those late night commercials is all what Africa is. You know what I'm saying? To sponsor a child for 20 cents a day, like, you know what I mean? But we get older and go over there and like, oh shit, Africa is no way like that. They try to keep us from our motherland.
Man, I want to do that with a lot of my friends whenever I just get to a point in my life where I have more resources, where I take some of my friends like back home in Kenya and just like show them like. But no, for real, I think that's one of my like roles is to do that, because that's like, it's very healing to like know something but then see something,
right?
And like, because what you know is just based off like it's secondhand resources. It's like once you get the primary resource of like actually being in Kenya and being like, oh no, this is actually way different than what I thought it was,
right?
It helps open your eyes and makes you, once you have that understanding of like, dang, this is how it is back here, then all these other ideas and images that have been painted by somebody else in media, what if that is also cap?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it opens your mind a little bit.
And 9 times out of 10 it is cap. Yeah.
I'm excited.
Hey, man, it is what it is, you know what I'm saying? It is what it is, but that's another episode.
Man.
So have you experienced a time when your healing work challenged your beliefs or identity, and what did you learn from that?
Yes. Yes, man. Yeah. Like, that's, like Ron was saying, it's like the artistry path. It's like I overly identified with being an artist, and there was times where whenever my artist, I guess, career wasn't taking off, it made me feel like I'm not worthy as a person. And so it's reshaping that kind of the process of understanding like you're a human being outside of you being an artist. Like you're worthy of love just off of the fact that like you're a human being. Like you don't have to show up and be talented for people to like appreciate your existence. And that was a very hard thing to like come to terms with, bro, because like the first 17, 18 years of my life was like me believing like that's all I was worthy. And honestly, before music, it was just like academics. And so like growing up, like my parents like put it in my head to be very like good in school and like making sure that like I was getting good grades and making sure that I was like having like perfect attendance. And then I remember I took like my first like really hard test. Like it was like a Calc 1 like in high school. I remember like I failed. I straight up just failed. And the crazy thing about that was like I actually tried like very hard. And that was like a crazy moment because it was like, dang, it helped me realize like you can try really hard and still fail.
Yeah.
Cause I don't know, school just came easy for me. So it was like it tested like kind of like, dang, like, are you still gonna get back up and like try again?
Right.
Or are you gonna be one of those people where it's like, oh, the first time I fail, because I haven't experienced failure, I'm gonna just cave.
Right.
So that's like another moment of like just like fight and like kind of self-identity crisis. Sorry, can you repeat that?
Oh yeah,
because I was getting lost in that.
No, you good. I mean, the second part of the question is, what did you learn from that?
Yeah, I learned that like be a human being first. Like be a human being first, and remember to love yourself first before you identify overly with like being an artist or being smart or any attribute that you have. Like just be first. Because if you do that, then the moment that gets tested, your entire thing crumbles. And so going back to just like Nic, not Nicólas Soul or whatever other identity is, like just going back to Nic and like centering that is like, no, like I love myself because I am myself. Like I don't have to have any crazy ability or anything. It's just like I'm me and I'm worthy just because I am me. Like, that's what I learned to do whenever I have those moments that test me and be like, are you really this, or do you really believe in this? It's like I go back to just centering, like, no, I'm Nicólas and Nicólas is worthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
Peace be still.
Yeah.
Peace is married still. Working with them. So the last question I have for you is, how do you navigate the responsibility of holding space for someone else's pain while honoring your own?
That's a good question. Damn.
Deep.
Yeah.
Deep.
I honestly don't know how to answer that, yo. Because it's hard. Sometimes as a creative, sometimes I feel very self-absorbed, and I'm like thinking about my own problems and like myself so much. So sometimes it is just like difficult to like do that. But I think my RC gang, like Renaissance Certified, they've helped me a lot with that. Like, hey, if you don't have a black woman in your life, get a black woman in your life.
Kanye.
Man. But not for real. I say that because like they just helped me realize, like, through working with them, like how to balance my goals for what I want RC to be with their goals for what they want in their individual like careers. And that's just like something that you learn whenever you work with any team. But like for me, it was them specifically. And so I would say, to answer the question, or at least attempt to, I think I try to remember that, like, if I help every individual person, I'll help the collective. Like, if I pour into Samaria, that will help RC.
Right.
So I don't have to necessarily think about it like they need to do things for me, because if I help them, they'll help me. It's like a energy, like, you know what I mean? It's like a transfer. So that's kind of how I try to do that, and still like hold that space for myself of like me helping them is them helping me, kind of thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So we're about to wrap up, but I just want to say, thinking about that, really elaborate and think about a time where you helped someone. You know what I'm saying? Someone dealing with something.
Yeah.
A really issue. I don't know if it was a loss or anything like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's kind of what that question was going to. Like, have you been there for somebody? Have you helped someone who's went through something, but at the same time maintaining, your grace? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you don't have to answer.
Yeah.
Just think about it. Because,
Yeah. Damn, Goldie. Let me try like real quick. I know we gotta wrap up. I will say, I think for me, like, what God has blessed me with is just like creative energy. And so like I think the best way that I help people is helping them realize that they can be creative. So one of my friends, Noonie, she wanted to be creative, and she is actively being creative now. But like she was telling me, like, I don't really know how to like tap into that like side of myself. And so I remember she was getting into photography, and like I was like basically just like speaking life into her and saying that like creativity, because she was thinking like a lot of times people think like creativity has to look a certain way. And I was telling her, bro, like, it's up to you, bro. Like, how you design it and how you shape it is up to you. Like, people can give you specific tips on how to do the thing, but like that's what makes you creative, is like your special sauce. And like what you bring into like photography, music, whatever you do is like the thing that you like, how you look at it is what makes the thing. You know what I mean? So I think I was speaking life into her, because like anybody that I meet that wants to hop into that sector, that creative sector, like that's fun to me to be able to be like, yo, let me help you with that. Let me give you the tools or whatever information you might need to get into it. So I guess that's kind of, I know it's not really like...
No, you good, bro. I mean, honestly, you young. You got a lot of life ahead of you, bro. So, but thank you.
Sometimes I be feeling like I'm old as hell, though.
You got an old soul. And I mean, reincarnated.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
But thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate everything you do for us, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Love you.
Love you too. Yes, sir.
Rep.
Yeah, man, those, hey, yo, that last question was crazy.